Let's freaking go, man. In the first 4 minutes, let's freaking go. I knew he was going to score two. Wait, what does it say? Was it off the other guy's goal? Let's freaking go. Let's go, Japan. '20 Clemson football season overview, and here's a summary and highlights of the 2020 Clemson Tigers football season. Season overview and record. Clemson finished 10-2 overall and 8-1 in ACC play. They're ranked number 3 in the final AP poll. Points scored versus allowed 522 for 242 against. Key games and moments. Clemson began the season ranked number 1 in the preseason AP poll. They won their first 7 games, including a 42-17 win over the then number 9 Miami. COVID-19 impact. Starting QB Trevor Lawrence tested positive for COVID-19 on October 29th and missed the games versus Boston College and Notre Dame. In his absence, DJ Uiagalelei started at QB in the Notre Dame game, and Clemson lost in double overtime 47-40. Clemson rematched Notre Dame in the 2020 ACC Championship game held December 19th in Charlotte. That time, Lawrence was back and Clemson won 34-10 to take the ACC title. In the college football playoff, the Sugar Bowl semifinal, Clemson lost to Ohio State 49-28. The strengths, challenges, and notes. The offense was strong. Lawrence had one of his best statistical seasons, higher completion percentage, yards per attempt, and etc. The season was played under COVID-19 constraints, which led to schedule adjustments and restrictions. The loss to Notre Dame during Lawrence's absence was the only regular season defeat. And here's some things. Clemson was supposed to play Florida State. Wait, let's see. Yeah, Clemson was supposed to play Florida State and South Carolina. Could you give some score predictions for those 2 games? Here are some speculative predictions just for fun for what those games might have looked like had Clemson played Florida State and South Carolina in 2020. Keep in mind, both matchups ended up canceled. The Clemson-Florida State game was postponed due to a COVID-19 issue. The Clemson-South Carolina rivalry game was canceled because the SEC went to conference-only scheduling. Factors to consider. Baseline. Clemson in 2020 was very strong. They went 10-2 overall, 8-1 in ACC play, and won the ACC championship. Clemson's offense, led by Trevor Lawrence when available, was among the national leaders, and their defense was solid, though not dominant in every contest. Florida State in 2020 was a middling ACC team, not expected to challenge Clemson on paper. South Carolina in 2020 struggled more. They finished 2-8 in the SEC play under difficult circumstances. Rivalry games often compress predicted margins, so Clemson might win by less than in a typical game versus a weaker opponent. Predicted scores. Here are my guesses. Opponent. Predicted score notes. Florida State. Clemson wins 38, FSU 17. Clemson likely wins comfortably, controlling tempo, exploiting FSU's defense errors. South Carolina. Clemson 34, South Carolina 14. Clemson wins by a solid margin, though rivalry field keeps it somewhat closer. So now what about Ohio State 2020 season? Here's a breakdown of Ohio State's 2020 football season. Key results, stats, and storylines. Season summary: Ohio State finished 7-1 on the season. In conference play, they went 5-0, undefeated in Big Ten games played. They were crowned Big Ten champions by winning the conference title game. In the college football playoff, they defeated Clemson in the Sugar Bowl semifinal by a score of 49-28, and they lost to Alabama in the national championship game 52-24. Schedule and key games. Now, some notable games from their 2020 slate: October 24 beat Nebraska 52-17. October 31st beat Penn State 38-25. November 7th beat Rutgers 49-27. November 21st beat Indiana 42-35. December 5th beat Michigan State 52-12 to close the regular conference season. And December 19th, Big Ten Championship beat Northwestern 22-10. Several games were canceled due to COVID-19 issues. Maryland, Michigan. Statistics and performance. Ohio State scored 328 total points and allowed 206 over the season. That averages out to 41 points per game, 11th among FBS, and 25.8 points per game, 44th. Their strength versus schedule metric SRS was 21.37, ranking second nationally. Personal and highlights. Justin Fields was the star quarterback leading the offense. CJ Stroud redshirted in 2020. He appeared only briefly, 8 snaps, and scored a 48-yard rushing touchdown versus Michigan State. In the Big Ten Championship, Trey Sermon was named MVP. Storylines and context. The 2020 season was heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic with schedule changes, game cancellations, and health protocols. Their Michigan rivalry game was canceled in 2020 because of a COVID outbreak at Michigan. Because the Big Ten had implemented a minimum number of games rule, 6, for championship eligibility, Ohio State's ability to participate became a point of debate given the canceled Michigan game. That rule was later waived. So, can you add 7 more regular season games and score predictions, which include the 3 that were canceled? Maryland, Michigan, and Illinois. Here are 7 hypothetical regular season games added to Ohio State's 2020 schedule beyond what was actually played, including the 3 that were canceled: Maryland, Illinois, Michigan. And I'll give my speculative score predictions for all 7 new/added games. These are peer what-if projections. Hypothetical expanded schedule plus predictions. Opponent location, predicted score, notes, rational. Maryland, cancel at Maryland. Yeah, probably would be. Ohio State 45, Maryland 17. Ohio State likely dominates given Maryland's weaker roster in 2020. Illinois, cancel at Illinois. Ohio State 42, Illinois 14. OSU's offense will be too much for Illinois. Michigan, cancel at Michigan. Ohio State 35, Michigan 24. Rivalry game tighter. Michigan will put up resistance, but OSU still wins. Penn State, home, away, depending. Ohio State 31, Penn State 27. A tougher test, close game. No. Michigan State, Ohio State 45, Michigan State 20. OSU will pull away in Indiana. Ohio State 38, Indiana 31. Solid but not blowout. Nebraska, Ohio State 40, Nebraska 16. Strong margins. So combining with their real performance, Ohio State would still likely be undefeated in those added matchups in the alternate season. Actually, so let's talk about some notable games from their 2020 slate. October beat Nebraska. All that. So you get the solid list of real games, and if we combine those actual results with the request of 7 games included, here's what a complete 12-game regular season might have looked like. So let's do it. October 24th, Nebraska win 52-17. Real game. OSU offense rolled early and often. October 31st, at Penn State, win 38-25. Real game. Fields efficient. OSU defense held off rally. November 7th, Rutgers win 49-27. Real game. Big first half. Backups allowed late points. November 14th, at Maryland, cancel. Predicted win 45-17. Maryland too inconsistent. Feels likely huge game. November 21st, Indiana win 42-35. Real game, high scoring thriller. Fields threw 3 interceptions but survived. November 28th, at Illinois, cancel. Predicted win 42-14. OSU dominates trenches. Sermon Teague carry offense. December 5th, at Michigan State, win 52-12. Real game, missing players due to COVID-19, but still dominant. December 12th, at Michigan, predicted win 35-24. Rivalry game closer than usual, but OSU edges out win. So that's 8. So here's other plays. Iowa, predicted win 31-20. Iowa's defense keeps it close. Fields and Sermon close it out late. Minnesota predicted win 44-21. OSU's wide receivers torch secondary. Wisconsin predicted win. Classic physical Big Ten battle. OSU speed prevails. Purdue, they win. LSU will beat Purdue 41-24. Revenge for 2018 upset. Buckeyes stay focused. So hypothetical regular season record 12-0. Now knowing Big Ten, followed by the Big Ten Championship, beat Northwestern 22-10, which was real. CFP semifinal beat Clemson 49-28, real. CFP National Championship lost to Alabama 52-24, real. Final record, hypothetical year, full year, 14-1. Yeah. So I'll get this right here. Oh man, I got so much stuff. So let's go back to 2020 Alabama. Back to 2020 Alabama football. A full recap of their 2020 season. 20 key games, players, and results. 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide football season. Head coach Nick Saban. Conference, SEC, Southeastern Conference. Final record 13-0, 10-0 in the SEC. National champions. Regular season results. Date, opponent, result, score, notes. September 26th at Missouri was a W, 38-19. Mac Jones and Jalen Waddle start hot. October 3rd, Texas A&M. They would beat Texas A&M. They would win 52-24. Devontae Smith would have 2 touchdowns. October 10th at Ole Miss. W, 63-48. 723 total yards of offense. October 17th, Georgia, ranked number 3, would be a W, 41-24. Big second half comeback. Jones throws 417 yards. October 24th, at Tennessee, a W, 48-17. Waddle injured ankle. October 31st, Mississippi State, W, 41-0. Najee Harris, no, it was actually Devontae Smith, had 4 touchdowns. November 14th was at, what the world? Some of these aren't in order, but November 14th at LSU was a W, 55-17. Revenge from 2019. Smith had 231 yards and 3 touchdowns. November 21st, Kentucky, W, 63-3. Total domination. November 28th, Auburn, W, 42-13. Iron Bowl block. December 5th, at Arkansas, W, 52-3. Finished regular season. Perfect regular season. In the SEC championship game, December 19th versus Florida in Atlanta, they won 52-46. It was an offensive shootout between Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. Devontae Smith had 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Najee Harris had 245 total yards and 5 touchdowns. In the college football playoff, the Rose Bowl semifinal, December 31st versus Notre Dame, was a W, 31-14. Smith had 3 touchdowns, and the defense stifled Ian Book. National Championship, January 11th versus Ohio State, was a W, 52-24. Devontae Smith had 12 catches, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns in just one half. Then he got injured. Mac Jones had a total of 464 yards, 5 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 3 total touchdowns. Alabama wins his 18th national championship, national title, and 6 under Saban. Awards and honors. I don't know how. Of course, Matt Campbell won Coach of the Year, but Nick Saban was the best coach all year. Heisman Trophy, Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Doak Walker Award, Najee Harris, running back, Davey O'Brien and Johnny Unitas Award, Mac Jones, QB. Well, Coach of the Year is Nick Saban. He's always supposed to be Coach of the Year. Offense averaged 48.5 points per game, was second nationally. Would you like me to show what would have happened if Alabama had played USC and Georgia State as originally scheduled on non-COVID 2026? Yes, and I'm about to tell you my prediction. Perfect. Go ahead and tell me your score predictions for USC and Georgia State. Then I'll add them into the Alabama's full schedule for predicted results. included. Against USC, Bama scored first with a field goal. Then USC scored a touchdown to their tight end. Then Alabama scored off a pick six by Patrick Surtain. Then Mac Jones threw a long ball touchdown to Jalen Waddle. Halftime was 17-7. Nice, that sounds like a classic Alabama first half. Slow start, then defense and deep ball take over. So far, we've got halftime score, Alabama 17, USC 7. First, Alabama field goal, 3-0. First, USC touchdown, pass to tight end, 3-1. Second, Patrick Surtain, the second, pick six, 10-7. Second, Mac Jones to Jalen Waddle, deep TD, 17-7. Would you like to continue describing the second half finals before I add it to Alabama's full schedule? In the second half, Bama scored a touchdown by Mac Jones running into the end zone. Then USC scored by a touchdown to their tight end. Then Bama went on a tear. Bama scored a field goal. Mac Jones threw a touchdown to Devontae Smith. Then a slant to Jalen Waddle for a long touchdown. USC scores a touchdown to their other tight end, and then score a field goal. And after that, Alabama would run. After that, Bama would run the clock out and win 41-24. Excellent. That's a detailed and realistic game flow. Here's your full 2020 Alabama versus USC. My prediction recap. September 5th, 2020, Alabama versus USC, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Barely in the Phoenix. Final score, Alabama 41, USC 24. In the first quarter. Now, some of these are wrong. 1Q, Alabama field goal, 3-0. 3-0 is the score. 1Q, USC TD pass to tight end, 3-7. Second quarter, Alabama Patrick Surtain pick 6, 10-7. Second quarter, Alabama Mac Jones, Jalen Waddle deep ball, 17-7. Halftime, 17-7 Alabama. Third quarter, Alabama Mac Jones rushing touchdown, 24-7. 3Q, USC touchdown pass to tight end, 24-14. 3Q, Alabama field goal, 27-14. 4Q, Alabama Jones to Devontae Smith touchdown, 34-14. Fourth quarter, Alabama Jones, Waddle, slant, long TD, which was actually in the third quarter, but 41-14. Fourth quarter, USC touchdown to the second tight end, 41-21. Fourth quarter, USC field goal, 41-24. Alabama runs out the clock. Key performers. Mac Jones threw for 21 out of 29, 327 yards, 3 TDs, and even 1 rushing touchdown. Jalen Waddle has 6 receptions, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith had 5 receptions, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Patrick Surtain, the second, 1 interception, pick 6. Summary. After a slow start, Alabama's offense exploded in the second half while the defense capitalized on key turnovers. Waddle's speed overwhelmed USC's secondary, and Jones looked sharp and in control. And yes, I'm about to tell you the Georgia State prediction. Perfect. Go ahead. Tell me your Alabama versus Georgia State 2020 game story and score prediction, and I'll format it like the USC one with a full recap. Georgia State started the game and drove down the field and scored a short run touchdown. Then Bama drove and scored a field goal. Then Bama scored a touchdown throwing pass to Jalen Waddle where he broke a few tackles. Georgia State then scored a field goal. Then Bama goes on a tear to end the half. A handoff to Najee Harris, then a long touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle. Nice, you're setting up another Alabama offensive surge. So far in your Georgia State game, Georgia State scores first, 7-0. Alabama answers with a field goal, 7-3. Mac Jones to Jalen Waddle, touchdown. Bama leads 10-7. Georgia State field goal is now tied 10-all. Then Bama goes on a tear. Najee Harris rushing TD, 17-10. Jones to Waddle, long touchdown, 24-10. So halftime score, Alabama 24, Georgia State 10. In the second half, Bama starts great. A go-ahead touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. Then when driving down the field, a short pass to Devontae Smith. Then when driving, again, a touchdown pass on third and goal to Jalen Waddle in the back of the end zone. Then Georgia State ran a long touchdown run from their own 12. making Nick Saban upset, of course, that he would be upset. Then Georgia State makes a field goal. Georgia State has the ball last, throws an interception, and Bama runs out the clock to win right 45-20. Perfect. That feels exactly like a 2020 Alabama performance. Early stumbles, offensive explosion, one defense lapse that annoys Saban. Here's your official game recap. September 12, 2020, Alabama versus Georgia State, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Final score, Alabama 45, Georgia State 20. Quarter score, summary score. 1Q, Georgia State short run touchdown 0-7. 1Q, Alabama field goal 3-7. Second quarter, Alabama Mac Jones, Jalen Waddle broke tackles 10-7. 2Q, Georgia State field goal 10-0. 2Q, Alabama Najee Harris rushing touchdown 17-10. 2Q, Alabama Jones Waddle long touchdown 24-10. Halftime is 24-10 Alabama. 3Q, Alabama Jones Devontae Smith TD 31-10. 3Q, Alabama short pass Smith TD 38-10. 4Q, Alabama Jones Waddle back of end zone third and goal 45-10. 4Q, Georgia State 88-yard TD run 45-17. 4Q, Georgia State field goal 45-20. 4Q, Georgia State interception thrown, Alabama runs out clock. Key performers, Mac Jones went 25 out of 33 for 392 yards, 5 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle had 8 receptions, 173 yards, 3 TDs. Devontae Smith had 7 receptions, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 14 carries, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. Alabama's defense had 2 interceptions. After an early Georgia State score, Alabama's offense completely took over. Waddle and Smith shredded the secondary, and Mac Jones posted another 5-touchdown game. A late 88-yard TD run by Georgia State was the only blemish in an otherwise dominant performance. Would you like me to add these 2 games, USC and Georgia State, into Alabama's full 2020 schedule formatted with your predictions included? Yes. Awesome. Here's your complete 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide football season featuring your USC and Georgia State predictions integrated with their real 2020 results. So 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide football season, my version. Head coach Nick Saban. Conference, SEC, record 15-0, 10-0 in the SEC, national champions, regular season. Date, opponent, result, score, notes. September 5th, was USC in Arlington, Texas. They won 41-24. And you had Surtain with a pick 6, and Waddle had 2 touchdowns. September 12th, Georgia State was a win, 45-20. Jones had 5 touchdowns. Waddle and Smith dominate. September 26th, at Missouri, it was a win, 38-19. Jones opens SEC slate very strong. October 3rd, versus Texas A&M, they won 52-24. Devontae Smith had 2 touchdowns. October 10th was at Ole Miss. It's a win, 63-48. An offensive shootout where 723 total yards. October 17th was Georgia. Win, 41-24. Huge second half rally. October 24th at Tennessee. Win, 48-17. Waddle injured and Jones still sharp. October 31st versus Mississippi State was a win, 41-0. Defense dominates. And I don't know why it says Najee Harris had 3 touchdowns, but it was Devontae Smith who had 4 touchdowns. Now, this game is not over. So, of course, they're supposed to play LSU, but November 14th at LSU, win 55-17. Revenge game. Smith, 231 yards and 3 touchdowns, even though that game was played after the Auburn game. November 21st, Kentucky, win 63-3. Pure domination. November 28th, Auburn, win 42-13. Iron Bowl blowout. December 5th, at Arkansas, win 52-3. Undefeated regular season. In the SEC Championship, December 19th versus Florida, they won 52-46. Mac Jones had 418 yards, 5 touchdowns. Najee Harris had 245 total yards and 5 touchdowns. In the Rose Bowl college football playoff semifinal, January 1st versus Notre Dame, they won 31-14. Devontae Smith had 3 touchdowns, and Jones and Harris cruised past the Irish. In the National Championship, January 11th versus Ohio State, they won 52-24. Devontae Smith, 12 receptions, 415 yards, 3 touchdowns in one half. Mac Jones, 464 yards, 5 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 3 total touchdowns. Season awards: Heisman Trophy, DeVonta Smith. Doak Walker Award, Najee Harris. Davey O'Brien Award, Mac Jones. And Coach of the Year, Nick Saban. Final record, 15-0, national champions. Alabama's offense goes down as one of the most explosive in college football history. Adding your USC and Georgia State predictions, they stay perfect, outscoring opponents 782 to 271 over the entire year. Would you like me to make this into a poster? You know what's so crazy about DeVonta Smith? He caught the game winner as a freshman and then helped lead them to an undefeated season and had his best game in the national championship. Facts: DeVonta Smith's career arc is one of the wildest, most poetic rise to greatness stories in college football history. Here's why his journey feels almost unreal. 1. As a true freshman, he catches the national championship walk-off TD. January 2018 versus Georgia. Tua rolls left, looks downfield, and drops a perfect ball to a freshman backup receiver, DeVonta Smith, for the national championship winning touchdown. Most players go their whole career without a moment like that. Smitty did it as a freshman in overtime under the brightest lights possible. 2. He spent 2 years quietly cooking people. From 2018 and 2019, he wasn't even considered the number one receiver at Alabama. He shared the field with Jerry Jeudy, Biletnikoff Award winner, Henry Ruggs was a first rounder, and Jalen Waddle was a first rounder. And still, Smith quietly became the most technically gifted receiver in the country, route running everybody to death and putting up huge games like the 200-yard first half versus Ole Miss. It was like people didn't realize the monster he was becoming. Then 2020 came, and he became the guy. Waddle got hurt early, and suddenly the entire offense shifted onto Smith's shoulders. He responded by putting up one of the greatest seasons ever. Heisman Trophy winner, first wide receiver in 29 years, 1,856 yards, 23 receiving touchdowns, most unstoppable player in college football, carried Alabama to an undefeated national title. He was unguardable. Corners, safeties, zones, no one had an answer. And then the national championship, his masterpiece. Against Ohio State before halftime, he already had 12 catches, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns. He literally only played one half and still had one of the greatest title game performances ever. It was like the freshman who caught the walk-off TD had evolved into a final boss version of himself. The crazy part, he bookended his Alabama career with the game-winning catch to start his legacy and one of the greatest title game performances ever to end it. That's movie script stuff. And he did it all with a calm, humble attitude. Nobody worked harder than Smitty. Wow. Yeah. In 2019 and 20, March Madness didn't play the playoff, but I had a dream that they did a March Madness bubble. Could you make one and do a full bracket with predicted results and a champion? That is an awesome idea. A March Madness bubble 2020 dream scenario, just like the NBA bubble that summer. Let's build this like it really happened. Same 68-team field that was projected before the 2020 NCAA tournament was canceled. Then simulate the whole thing, game by game, and all the way to a national champion. So 2020 March Madness bubble tournament, alternate reality. Played entirely in Indianapolis, all teams isolated, no fans, bubble style setup like the NBA. Top seeds based on projected 2020 bracketology before cancellation. Number 1, Kansas, 28-3. Number 2, Gonzaga, 31-2. 3, Dayton, 29-2. 4, Baylor, 26-4. Other 1-4 seeds. 2 seeds, Florida State, Creighton, San Diego State, Kentucky. 3 seeds, Michigan State, Duke, Villanova, Maryland. 4 seeds, Louisville, Oregon, Wisconsin, Seton Hall. Full bracket prediction. East region, top seed, Dayton. Sweet 16, Dayton defeat Michigan. Florida State defeats Maryland. Elite 8, Dayton defeats Florida State. Obi Toppin dominates. Dayton continues their magical run. Midwest region, top seed, Kansas. Sweet 16, Kansas defeats Auburn. Kentucky defeats Michigan State. Elite 8, Kansas defeats Kentucky. Devin Dotson Udoka Azubuike are unstoppable. South Region, top seed, Baylor, Sweet 16, Baylor defeats Villanova, Creighton defeats Oregon. Elite 8, Baylor defeats Creighton. Baylor's defense forces turnovers. Jared Butler shines. West Region, top seed Gonzaga, Sweet 16, Gonzaga defeats Oregon. San Diego State defeats Duke. Elite 8, Gonzaga defeats San Diego State. Kispert and Tilly power their Zags through. Final Four played at Lucas Oil Stadium, Bubble. Matchup prediction score, Dayton versus Kansas. Kansas wins 78-70. Baylor versus Gonzaga. Baylor wins 74-71. Both semifinals are tight with experience and defense winning out. National championship. Kansas versus Baylor. They were actually the top two teams in the country in March 2020. They split their regular season meetings. In the bubble final, Kansas edges Baylor in a defensive thriller. Final score, Kansas 68, Baylor 63. Most outstanding player, Devin Dotson, Kansas. Coach of the year, Bill Self. Bubble MVP, Udoka Azubuike, Kansas, dominant rim protector. Alternate universe, 2020 national champions, Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas finishes 33-3 in this simulated bubble tournament. Dayton's run to the Final Four becomes the biggest mid-major story since 2011 VCU. Baylor, Gonzaga, and Kansas prove why they were the clear top three all year. So here's a visual bracket right here. Now let's use a 64-team bracket. Got it. You want a 2020 March Madness bubble using a 64-team bracket, no first four play-in games. Before I generate this visual, let's confirm a few quick things so you can make it exactly how you want it. Top seeds. Number one, top seeds. Do you want me to keep the same top set for number one seeds, Kansas, Gonzaga, Dayton, Baylor? It's 2, format. Standard layout, East, West, South, Midwest, ending in the Final Four. 3, style. Should I keep the same alternate history tone played in the Indiana Spurs with predicted results and champion? Once you confirm, I'll create the full team bracket with listed matchups, results, and champion. Yes. Perfect. Here's the 2020 March Madness Bubble 64-team edition, a full alternate universe tournament that actually got played inside an Indianapolis bubble. 2020 March Madness Bubble Bracket. Number one seeds, Kansas, Midwest. Gonzaga, West. Dayton, East. Baylor, South. East Region, Dayton number 1. Round of 64. Number 1, Dayton, 87. Beats Robert Morris, 63. Colorado, 71. Beats Florida, 71-68. Butler, 75. Liberty, 64. Maryland, 78. Beats North Texas, 62. Penn State, 68. Texas Tech, 66. Michigan State, 79. Belmont, 70. Arizona, 74. Utah State, 72. Florida State, 80. Hofstra, 58. Sweet 16, Dayton, 76. Maryland, 71. Michigan State, 78. Florida State, 75. Elite 8, Dayton, 81. Michigan State, 77. East Champion, Dayton Flyers. West Region, Gonzaga, number 1. Round of 64. Number 1, Gonzaga, 93. 16, UC Irvine, 59. St. Mary's, 70. Rutgers, 66. Creighton, 85. Stephen F. Austin, 75. 85-75. Oregon, 83. 13 versus 13. New Mexico State, 77. Michigan, 72. Texas, 68. Seton Hall, 79. Bradley, 63. Iowa, 84. USC, 74. San Diego State, 77. Eastern Washington, 61. Sweet 16. Gonzaga beats Oregon 81-76. San Diego State beats Seton Hall 74-72. Elite 8. Gonzaga 78. San Diego State 71. West Champion Gonzaga Bulldogs. Midwest Region, Kansas, number 1. Round of 64. Kansas beats Winthrop 85-54. LSU beats Marquette 81-78. Auburn beats Yale 73-69. Wisconsin beats Akron 70-60. West Virginia beats Stanford 68-64. Duke beats North Kentucky 82-58. Illinois beats Oklahoma 75-73. Kentucky beats North Dakota State 77-61. Sweet 16, Kansas 83, Wisconsin 66, Kentucky 72, Duke 70. Elite 8, Kansas 79 to Kentucky 71. Midwest champions Kansas Jayhawks. South region Baylor number 1. Round of 64, Baylor beats Boston University 78-55. Houston wins 75-71 against Oklahoma State. Ohio State beats Richmond 82-71. Louisville beats Vermont 73-62. Virginia wins against Wichita State 62-59. Villanova wins against Colgate 81-68. BYU wins 77-72 against Indiana, and Michigan State wins 75-58 against Little Rock. In the Sweet 16, Baylor wins 73-70 against Louisville, and Villanova upsets Michigan State 68-67. Elite 8, Baylor wins 71-66 against Villanova. South champion was Baylor Bears. So then you get to the Final Four, the Indianapolis bubble. Still, number 1 Dayton 81, number 1 Baylor 76. Obi Toppin dominates inside. Number 1 Kansas 77, number 1 Gonzaga 74. Azubuike and Dotson too much for Zags. National Championship. Number 1 Kansas Jayhawks 78, number 1 Dayton 72. Most outstanding player Devin Dotson, Kansas. Kansas finishes the 2020 bubble 36-1 and claims their first title since 2008. So this is actually gonna be my video for today. I thought I was gonna do like well, actually, let me do another what if. So who would I think would win in 2020 Wimbledon? Well, I had a prediction. I think that if we were to do a Wimbledon in 2020, it would either be Novak Djokovic, probably Djokovic. Djokovic could have 25 Grand Slams, or we could have had like a separate draw where we would have 2 different majors playing at the same time. Wimbledon and Roland Garros. I think who would have won Wimbledon? Djokovic. Or maybe Zverev's not really strong on grass, but it could be Djokovic. Or actually, who was... Yeah, it would have been Djokovic. But it would have been cool to probably see another person win that Grand Slam. '2020 top 8 tennis. Yeah, Novak Djokovic would have had a 25th Grand Slam. It would have been good to see either Medvedev get that or Zverev, but it would have been Djokovic. And who would I think would be in the final? Djokovic versus anybody, really. Maybe Medvedev, but hey, we never know. Well, so that is my video for today. And it's been your boy JG Tennis. And peace out. Next video will be about a dream I had about a Virginia player. About a Virginia career. So I'll tell y'all about that next video. So I'll see y'all. go. I'm headed to the thing. Let's go.